We are
Live.
live. Ah, okay, wait. I'm gonna put this back in the. Okay, little speed bump there. We'll give people just a minute to join. Sometimes it takes just a couple for people to hop on. Uh, all right. Yeah, I had my screen popped out to the side, so I had to put it back in so I can see the chat. Can you all see the chat as well?
I
There should
can.
be a little chat bar to the right. Okay.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see
feel
that.
free to
Let's
respond.
see.
Go.
Mm.
Oh boy.
Ooh, whose doggy is that?
That would be mine. My apologies.
No, I love it.
Got so much to say. They're in on it too.
Exactly. He wants to be in on the talk. All right. Well, we have a couple of viewers, so I can go ahead and get started. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Oh, I see Harriet's on. She's part of my women's group. Hi, Harriet. She's actually the leader of the group. So today we are going to talk about sustainable lifestyle, holistic lifestyle, living, freeing ourselves from self criticism and learning sustainable change. And the central question, really, I think we're going to be talking about is why do so many of us try to improve our health by fighting ourselves, and what changes when we begin to work with our bodies instead. Um, so I come from a perspective of organizational dynamics. I'm finishing my graduate work right now, and today we have Stacy Orr, we have Martha Fournier with us, and they'll be bringing us their perspectives. So Stacy is a gut health and wellness coach, special education consultant, and founder of Built Strong Fitness. She helps people support their health from the inside out through science-backed nutrition, blood sugar balance, movement, and practical habits that can be sustained in real life. So Stacy will tell us more about her work, and then Martha Fournier is a life coach with Loving Wellbeing Studio in Maine. She teaches yoga, qigong. Did I pronounce that right? Qigong.
Qigong.
Okay. Reiki, meditation, journaling, and creativity. Her work explores how greater awareness and mind body practices can help people develop a more compassionate and intentional relationship with themselves. So let's just dive right in because I think we have a lot to talk about today. So, what does health from the inside out mean to you? That's going to be our first question here. And I wanted to start off with a German American psychologist, Kurt Lewin, who became one of the founders of social psychology, organizational development, and change theory. And his central insight was that while behavior can be shaped by a person's character or willpower, the interaction between the person and their environment is key. So we often over personalize our struggle and think it's, our fault. We get angry and frustrated with ourselves when, we have a hard time changing habits or establishing good habits, our healthy habits. What we often over personalize the struggle and under examine the field surrounding it. So we are not living in isolation. We live in our environments, and we should consider how that might impact it. There's another perspective, the self-determination theory, and that proposes that people function and flourish better when three psychological needs are being supported, and that's autonomy, competence, and relatedness. So, in other words, we always have a choice. And if we have a growing sense of capability, we know we can do something, it becomes easier. And having meaningful connection is part of that field too. So having those three things in place can really help support us as we try to make healthy changes in habits. So Stacy and Martha, from your different perspectives, what does health from the inside out mean to you?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. I love this conversation. This is right up my alley because I love talking about the fact that health starts on the inside, at the root, at the core, which is our gut. Hippocrates always said gut health is health. So, we're so used to looking in the mirror and thinking that our appearance is a representation of how healthy we are, when in fact, it's what's happening on the inside that is really telling to truly how healthy we are. And so, health from the inside out to me really means starting on the inside, creating balance amongst all your internal systems, starting with the gut. That has been my journey in finding balance with my gut health, with the inflammation in my body, with my blood sugar, and then in turn my brain, because that gut brain axis is so strong. And so what we are thinking and what we are feeling directly impacts our health. Stress has a huge component in how we are functioning health wise and what's going on in our body. So getting to the root cause of what's going on and listening to those little whispers our body is giving before they turn into huge screams and red flags. And before you know it, we're seeking real medical advice and help because we didn't take the time to listen to those little whispers from the inside out. So.
Absolutely.
And
Martha,
that's right. Our body is always sending us messages, it's kind of whether we choose to listen or not. And that's where the mind can kind of like try to take us down a different path. But and also society has taught us to kind of like ignore our intuition and just kind of listen to what other people say. But I think that everything does come from within, because and a lot of the times, again, our society will want us to look outside for the answer, but it really is within. Like, let's say we want more peace in the world. It's very important for us to like acquire that peace within and do that work so that we can keep our peace within, and then we can like spread it more. It's the same with love. I can love so many people and things, and but if I'm lacking in that self-love and that love for myself, then I can't love as out exteriorly as much as I could possibly can. So it's just, if I can love myself and just practice with that, because that's kind of another thing that's difficult for us to do. We think it's selfish or something, society, but no, it's not. Like, it's so important. And just being kind to ourselves in the process along the way as well, just with everything that Stacey has just said, because it can be frustrating. The process can be frustrating because we might not know the answers, or someone might have a different view, or we just don't know. But if we just keep listening to our bodies, we do have the answer within. And just like Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. So it's like really doing that inner work, I guess, to help us along the way.
This all is so connected. Of course, coming from the organizational dynamics perspective, I see systems. And so to me, it's like we have to lay that groundwork first of the inner peace and love. And once we really learn how to take care of ourselves, respect ourselves, love ourselves, yes, it can go out to the rest of the world too, but it starts here inside. And if we want to create these good, healthy habits and do the work that Stacey's talking about, the literal physical work to make the changes, we have to have that groundwork first of understanding how to take care of ourselves, understanding how to love ourselves. So it's really, it's systemic, and we have to look at it holistically like that. And I'm at a cafe, so if you hear other people in the background, sorry, I just had to have a change of background today. So yeah, I was for a while, and now people are starting to show up. So, I guess to move on to the second question: what are we really responding to when a habit becomes difficult to change? I think habit researcher Wendy Wood described habits as learned responses activated by recurring context clues, and then once established, they can operate with little conscious deliberation and may be relatively insensitive to our short-term goals. So, we kind of get ourselves set in a pattern, and it's hard to break that. So, what are your perspectives on that?
Yeah, that is so hard. And the beginning of my story, when I was in a place that I was truly unhealthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, it was hard. And what was hard about it was self-doubt, discomfort, fear. Getting out of my comfort zone, that poor self-image, And what I really honestly had to do was it for myself in that moment in that season was to look outside myself at my children as my why and my reason to get myself up and out of it. Because I find that having a why, having a solid gut wrenching reason to make change is really helpful in taking that first step, because we can self-loathe like nobody's business. But when we have something that's helping us better ourselves, whatever that might be that we grasp onto, it's really helpful to take that first step, because the fear of change is real. And that self-doubt and discomfort, I think we all really get cozy in our little comfort worlds. And change can be hard, but when we view it as, you know, we have to trust in the process, I guess is what I'm getting at. All of this is about trust the process. One tiny step forward every single day. Just trust that process. And before you know it, that self-doubt starts to creep back a little bit. That fear of stepping out of the comfort zone starts to diminish. And then you're more motivated suddenly to create those sustainable habits.
Yeah, I really hear you. I'll just jump in real quick here, though, but I'll just tell you personally, I've been trapped in a narcissistic relationship for 23 years, and I'm divorcing now. And, I just kept on feeling like I was the problem, and of course I'm a human, so I'm not perfect, but, the way that kind of abuse can really change your mindset and really make you feel so low. And I gained 100 pounds. And so now I've lost, since I've filed the divorce, I've started really stepping out on my own. I've lost 100 pounds. And of course, the pounds on the scale aren't really exactly what matters. But I've just acquired healthier habits. And it started with loving myself.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I have a similar scenario from my past, and it's really hard. Wow, all of us.
No, good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to come out of that type of relationship and move forward when you're always feeling like you didn't do enough, or you needed to do more, or whatever it was. That self-love just isn't there.
Yeah.
So I applaud you.
And it's so much.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, and you too, and all of you, all of us. I think it's more common than we might know. And as we start talking to other women, we see how common it is.
Yeah.
And just surviving that and getting out of it. And that too is a habit. The habit of becoming smaller, of accepting blame, of trying to be the better person, and you shrink and shrink and shrink until you just can't shrink anymore. And I don't know, at some point, hopefully, you break out of it, because I'll tell you, it's a lot better on the other side.
It absolutely
is. Yeah, it absolutely is. I've had experience with that as well, and it's very tough. It's almost like you kind of like just lose yourself a little bit, and so in doing that, trying to convince someone to be nice to you or kind to you, it's just like, oh, there's so much that goes along with it. But then how can we even be kind to ourselves? Like, we know that should be the thing, and then trying to be kind to ourselves along the way, it's tough. But I think that walking through that discomfort, it's so much amazing more on the other side, but it's tricky, it's tough, but it's just magical to be able to walk through the discomfort and the fear, and know that once you've walked through discomfort before, because there is a lot of fear with that, then like, oh wow, that wasn't, it could be a few years, and you're like, oh, I can't do that, I'm not sure if I'm ready to do that, and then walking through it, you're like, oh, that like wasn't half as bad as I had put my brain into thinking it was, and then just like following up on the other side, just having that willingness to be discomfort, have the discomfort, I don't know, and walk through that, to the other side of anything, of just healthier choices.
Yeah, I think as
So
women
Martha,
in general, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think as women in general, we are caretakers and givers and fixers, right? And it's sort of the smoother overs of things. And so
Yeah.
we just walk that life until one day when suddenly we haven't fixed ourselves and now we're struggling. We're not as healthy as we could be. We don't have the energy that we could have. We're not sleeping well. Just so many things are affected over time from constantly giving and giving as we naturally do to others, whether it's our kids, our family, our partners, our coworkers, whatever it might be. And so it really is a mind shift to turn inward and realize you're going to be a stronger, healthier, better person for all those people if you start with yourself.
Yeah.
And so Martha, what specifically is like grounded examples could we give people to help make that shift? Are there specific classes, like exercises, meditations, things that you would recommend for people to reconnect with themselves and learn to start loving themselves a little bit better?
Oh, right. It's such a big, vast thing. I think just having, knowing that it's a dance, there's going to be like back and forward, and it's not just, it's kind of the spiral upwards, like what things are always going to come back around to, check in and see where we're at with them. But I think that even today, like just going for a walk, just getting our body moving, that can help with the mind shift. Let's see. And then just breathing too, like connecting with your breathing, taking a moment to just sit there and connect with your breathing and just following your breathing, giving your brain like a job. Oh, I'm just going to follow my inhales and my exhales. Just some simple just simple kind of things like that can kind of start to help with the shift of, to just get us into a different, healthier mindset for ourselves. This morning I went for I was like, I'm going to go for a walk because I was feeling anxious. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this live thing, And then immediately my brain was like, no, you don't need to. You maybe just sit here and like write out the notes a little bit, And then I had to come in and be like, no, like I have the time. I'm going to go for a quick little walk around the block. And that's going to help me like move the energy, and even if you can't like go for a walk around the block, maybe just sit there and imagine that you're going for a walk. Imagine like walking down a path in the forest or something, and the trees and kind of what, just like, because our brain kind of sometimes doesn't know the difference between like what's actually happening and like what we're imagining true. So that kind of whole thing going on. Does that kind of help with some just basic?
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Martha, because again, that's just not my intention, but how my story evolved was through movement in a time where I felt helpless. I was depressed. I was going through a lot of grief. And I knew how to move. I have always been an active person. And so I just got really intentional about that. And what I found over time was that was absolutely the key for me in getting the motivation to then create the discipline in my life with food and nutrition and supplementation and beyond. Because when I move my body, I feel better. So that is exactly where it started for me. And honestly, it started so simple, like you said, just finding quiet moments for deep breathing and walking. 10 minutes even, just a quick walk, kind of cleared my head. And that evolved into more things. Okay, I've been here for 10 minutes. I'm going to do a half an hour today. I'm going to go to the gym today. And I was terrified. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm going to look like an idiot. But, one little step at a time. And here I am coaching strength training classes. And it just brings me joy, and it feels so good.
Yeah, we just have to override self-doubt, I think, sometimes. It's like we can't wait until we're ready. We just have to override that instinct and just do it. And it doesn't have to be some big impressive thing. Like Martha said, start inside, meditate, think about walking through the forest, imagine it. And then maybe your confidence will get up enough that you can walk around the block. And, like maybe it'll go further next time. And maybe you can go with friends. There's just so many options, but you have to start with something, even if that's internal. And then, I think the biggest thing for me was overriding the I can't mindset, like, oh, well, I wish I could. And then just like self-doubting myself out of it, even if it was something really simple. But
you said that, Michelle. Yeah, the idea that I can't. I actually have a bracelet that I made for myself that has a reminder on it, and one side says no excuses, and the other side says love hard. And it's a reminder to myself that I need to love myself just as hard as I am loving my children, my family, my friends, my coworkers, and to not allow myself to give myself excuses for why I'm not going to get up off the couch and take a walk, why I'm not going to choose to eat something healthy over the chocolate chip cookies on the counter. I needed that literal reminder to myself because I couldn't do it on my own. And sometimes we start that way where we feel unable to step out of it. So that was for me.
I think sometimes we try to shame ourselves out of things too, like I'm not going to eat that cookie because it's bad or things like that, and that too, I think, is problematic, and it kind of feeds into it, makes it worse because then we're feeling bad about ourselves, and and we all have that impulse, to maybe eat unhealthy things and whatnot until we establish better habits, but it's not something I think we should be, beating ourselves up about. It's very human. It's very normal. So actually this leads into my next question about what changes when we replace shame with curiosity. And I know you'll probably know Brene Brown's work, social psychologist, but she's amazing and she's done so much work on shame. And she says shame is I am bad and guilt is I did something bad. But if we don't come from that mindset, guilt can focus attention on behavior that conflicts with our values. Shame turns behavior into a verdict about the whole self. So saying something to yourself like, I miss my walks is information, and I have no discipline, that's an identity sentence, that's a judgment. I return to an old habit describes an event. I will never change creates a fixed story. So if we think about things more literally, like, okay, I missed my walk. That was a habit. I didn't change. Maybe I should think about why I missed my walk and what's happening inside and, how I felt when I didn't go. And, I can think about all these things, but placing a judgment on myself about it, we don't need to do that. And that's not a really great way to love ourselves. Would we do that to a friend? Would we beat them up for missing a walk or, maybe eating something that's not as healthy as they would like it to be? I mean, we wouldn't. We would be very compassionate towards them. So sometimes I think even taking a third person approach and looking at ourselves that way and saying, would I say this to my friend? No, I wouldn't. How would I treat my friend? And then treating ourselves that same way. And, giving ourselves compassion isn't an excuse for complacency. So actually, I have some experts here. Kristen Neff defines self-compassion through self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness rather than self-judgment, isolation, and over-identification. In 4 experiments, Juliana Brianna and Sierra Chen found that responding to a failure with self-compassion increased motivation for self-improvement. Compassion can support accountability because it makes the truth bearable enough to use. So, it's not giving ourselves an excuse. It's not letting ourselves off the hook. Loving ourselves through these changes is actually what's going to make the changes take place. And it's work. We have to think about the why underneath it and the environment that we're in and what needs to change to make it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, what does
That's right.
compassionate ability look like to you all? What do y'all think about that?
What changes? I'm sorry, can you ask that question again?
Yeah, what does compassionate accountability look like to you? How do you do that for yourself?
Yeah, I feel like we often end up getting in a zone of punishment when we maybe, like you said, we miss our walk or we eat the plate of cookies or whatever it might be that we're shaming ourselves about. We then turn to punishment. Okay, then I'm going to do an hour on the treadmill tomorrow. That's not, we don't need to do that to ourselves. We are human. So, again, I feel like a lot of this is mindset and mind work and giving yourself some grace. We are human. It's okay to have the cookies. But then what is the very next step you're going to do? You're not going to do, you're not going to eat the whole plate of cookies tomorrow. It's okay you did it today, so let's just not do it tomorrow. And let it go. It's okay. Just tell yourself, it's okay, I'm human. I have the right to enjoy. And, so I just feel like, again, it brings me back to establishing small habits that you're going to stack along the way. Because once you do that, then that's not going to bother you so much. Once you have small habits in place. I feel like
Yeah,
it's
and
awful. Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was going to jump in real quick though. I found that replacing those kinds of things, like we're using cookies as an example, with protein bars. I have these pure protein bars. It's the name of the brand. And I mean, you get your sweetness fix, but there's no sugar. You get high protein, and protein will fill you up, so you're not hungry all day. And you get your treat, but you're not sacrificing yourself. It is a way of loving yourself. It's not punishment to be healthy. It's actually a loving thing to do because we're learning how to take care of ourselves, and then we feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great switch. That's a great new habit forming thing, where you're like, okay, well, I can have the things that I'm craving, but also now I'm going to just switch to a little bit of a healthier way to do it. So that's so beautiful, because otherwise, I agree with both of you. It is so counterproductive to like deny ourselves of something, but also there's that fine line and finding the balance into, how we can like kind of get the new mindset, get the new habits going with it. And it can be overwhelming, and that's okay too. Because I think as humans, we just have to be kind to ourselves. Again, I'm going to say this the whole time because it's like so important. And I always tell I have to keep reminding myself after years of being so mean to myself. It's okay to make mistakes. And that's where the shame and the guilt can kind of like trip us up a little bit, that we have to be perfect or something of this weird nature, but it's again instilled in society, all these strange concepts of how we're to be. And it's just progress, not perfection. So if we could just focus on that, and just know that it's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay to start again anytime too. I can start again right now. I can start over again right now, and that's okay. And just, it's all, just that like grace for ourselves, like you were saying, is like so important, and finding that balance where we're not like, well, whatever. And that, and like giving ourselves that excuse. It's like, no, we're really trying to work on resetting a thing, but also there's that wiggle room, as we're along the pathway of it, the journey of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking healthy habits aren't really built by never missing anything or being perfect. They're built by
No.
learning how to return. You know, so if we can
Mm-hmm.
return to the healthier habits that we wanted
Yeah.
to establish, that's really the whole thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
nobody's going to do anything perfectly, but if
Truly.
we're okay with accepting what we've done and returning to the healthier habits, we'll get there. Like you were saying, Stacy, we'll stack. We'll get there,
Right.
and
We'll
then we
get there.
Yeah.
build another healthy habit,
Yeah.
and then another one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I coach people with in my Build Strong challenges is, start with one thing. And I typically we start with mind work, waking up, having a mindful morning. Every morning, I want you to breathe light into your mind.
Mhm.
And
I love
sometimes when you can't find something wonderful to say about yourself, then maybe it's something you're grateful for. So we start
Mhm.
here. Mindful morning
Yeah.
starts with gratefulness. So what are you grateful for today? So we start there and we build upon that and into more like physical habits. Like we're going to start with protein. How much protein are you eating? Now let's build upon that. Now we're going to talk about water consumption. Where is your water consumption? How is your sleep? And then, okay, is your body balanced? Are we supplementing and filling in the nutritional gaps? Because of course nowadays we can't eat the lettuce. Did I even dare say that?
True.
We all have nutritional gaps. I mean, as healthy and clean as we eat, there are nutritional gaps. I personally can't eat enough broccoli in a day to get the nutrients that I need. So I supplement. And it has turned my world around. And that's where I was able to start getting the motivation to start stacking more habits along the way.
Yeah. No, it does make a big difference. You know, I take high levels of vitamin B. I have Hashimoto's, and I also have vitamin absorption problems. So I take lots of vitamins every day. And the food that's commercially available to us, most of us, I mean, if you can afford organic food, good for you. That's awesome. If you have your own garden, even better. My mom does. But it's expensive, and some of us can't afford that. So, you know, the next best thing is to take supplements, I think. And, you know, as long as you're doing something to get your nutritional needs met, that's the important thing. Because I mean, my clarity has improved. My, you know, just everything. My skin's gotten better. My hair's gotten better. I'm not as tired all the time. You know, just taking all of these nutritional supplements. I take vitamins, but you know, it works. And drinking enough water too. That's huge.
Yes, huge.
Really
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I supplement with vitamins and minerals as well. It's so important. It makes all the difference. And then, yeah, like I just added some extra B6 or something, for to help with my hormones. And that's been so helpful. I've been feeling more energetic and less like just depressed, for lack of a better, just like, oh, like sluggish or something, so it's like been very helpful navigating that kind of balance, just finding the balance of it all.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because,
Mm-hmm.
90% of our happy hormones are produced in our gut. The serotonin,
Mm-hmm.
GABA, the dopamine, they're actually produced in our gut, not our brain. Our immune system, 75% of the bacteria that supports our immune system comes from our gut. So it's just
Yeah,
so important to be getting the nutrients. And obviously that involves nutritionally, but also with probiotics, prebiotics, magnesium, and things that are actually going to create balance in your body.
absolutely. Magnesium's such a
Yeah.
big one. And even like fermented foods, if you can't decide what probiotic to take, the fermented foods are really helpful with that too, all the different options out there to see kind of what
Yeah.
resonates with your body as you're listening to it, trying things.
Well, one of the things I have a nutritionist, thankfully, through the VA that I've been able to work with to lose all this weight, and you know, I've had some other interventions too. But getting off of sugar has been like number one for me, and well, protein. So like in the mornings, I used to do my coffee and put all kinds of creamer in it every day, and I had no idea what I was doing to myself with that coffee mate. It was not good. But I'm doing Premier. I don't know. That's just what I use. My nutritionist recommended it, but it's Premier Protein. I use the vanilla a lot. I mean, 160 calories, 30 grams of protein, and no sugar. And I use that in my coffee every day, and then I drink the rest for lunch. And so that's 160 calories, and I've already made it halfway through the day, and I've already had 30 grams of protein. And then in the afternoon, if I'm hungry, I just have a protein bar, and that's another 20 grams of protein. And that protein really fills you up, and sugar will just create more cravings, and it makes you very unhealthy. Sugar is terrible. It's a drug. I don't even know why we put it in everything. It's all.
I call it, I call it the gateway drug because, like, you know, it is. But that's great. That's beautiful how you've like just altered things, but just even a little bit, you know what I mean? It's making such a big difference. You know, you're keeping some of the things that you like and just switching up the ingredients a little bit, you know, and then you're able to. I've even just started eating like a raw carrot before meals, and somehow it's like balancing the sugar levels, and you know, just like these little things that to explore with along the way, just to see how it works. And I don't know, that's kind of a new thing that I was trying out, and it seems to be great. And you can't go wrong with a carrot. You know, I don't know. You know, I mean, well, depending on who you are or whatever, you know. But I don't know. That just exploring different things and seeing how they make you feel. Yeah.
I think it can feel overwhelming, though. You know, I feel like I can sit here knowing what I know, say, oh, just attack these little habits, you know. But for somebody that's not used to doing that, or someone who doesn't have as much knowledge around nutrition and the importance of protein and why we supplement and what is a quality supplement and what does it do for your body and when to take it and how to take it and dose it, you know, that's where I was years ago, totally overwhelmed, like reaching on the shelf for, I'll try this, I'll try that, maybe I'll try this. You know, we are saturated from social media with all of these different options. And we just don't know what is the right one for me, what is a safe quality option, and you really have to do your research. And I didn't know any of that. So I had to do my research. So I feel like knowledge is absolutely power. The more you know, the more you can do, and the better off you'll be. Because, you know, any supplement off the shelf at your Walmart, CVS, Amazon is not going to be the quality that maybe you're hoping for, depending on the brand and whatnot, and what dosage to use. So I just love that I've learned so much to be able to support myself, but also others, my whole family included, in how to make those habits. So I feel like, you know, somebody starting from ground zero might need to reach out to someone like one of ourselves to get some information, because information is really key. You know, where to start as far as how much protein should I be eating every day, and what sources of protein are good sources of protein to be eating.
That's right. Yeah, I agree.
So I hear
it can be so overwhelming.
I'm sorry. Thanks a lot. We keep on doing that. No, I was just say, Martha says, you know, eating fresh vegetables and like real foods. I think I'm hearing like raw foods, whole foods. Is definitely a great way to do some of this. And then, as I say, you know, my nutritionist suggested these proteins, and I don't even know what's in this, so I don't know if this is the healthiest thing, but it's working for now. So I'm rolling with it. And you know, there's just so many different options and ways. My son's sitting here with me. Yes, I love you too. There's so many different options and ways of achieving this. And I know, Stacy, you said you use Plexus, and this is not a paid commercial or anything, I promise. You know, but if you want to put your contact info in the chat, so if people want to learn more about it and order from you or anything like that, you're welcome to do that.
Sure.
There are lots of different options. I think there's so many different ways to achieve all of this, but whatever we can do to help people find what works for them, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. I have partnered with Plexus just because a friend of mine introduced me to it back when I was struggling. I was on thyroid medication and had digestive issues. My energy was tanked. My skin was terrible. I was having a hard time losing weight. My hormones were up at like all the things, right? And so she introduced me to Plexus, which is the gut health supplement company. They have supplements for all different things, but they are experts mostly in gut health. And so my whole family uses these products. They're plant-based, they're all natural, they're clinically studied, third-party trialed. So I absolutely trust this company. And believe me, I did a deep dive before I dove into using them myself, and they've been a game changer, absolute game changer. I'm off my thyroid medication. My energy is incredible. Yeah, because when we balance our blood sugar, like our blood sugar is our insulin is our master hormone for all other hormones. So when you balance blood sugar, your other hormones over time with consistency come into balance. And it's all about gut health, man. It's all about creating homeostasis in the body. Most people walk around with dysbiosis, and maybe they don't even realize it. And it could be as simple as like some skin issue. Skin is a direct result of what's going on the inside. Constipation. I know it sounds weird to talk about it, but I think the majority of the country is constipated. That's not normal. And we're holding on to those toxins. And so one thing leads to the next, which leads to then we have a difficult time losing weight because toxins are stored in fat cells. So when our body is able to release those after being balanced and creating that homeostasis, then we start shrinking. The inflammation goes down in our body. We start feeling better, less aches and pains. Our skin is great. I feel better. I'm going to be 50 this year, ladies. 50. I feel better now than I did in my 30s.
Really. Right. Yeah. It gets better.
Yes, it just keeps getting better. I sleep like a baby. I mean, or maybe a husband. I don't know. But yeah, so I can't say enough about these products. I definitely would love to share them with whoever might be interested in checking them out. I certainly would share some information with you. Unfortunately, I can't add to the chat because my Substack says upgrade in order to chat. So
well, if you want to message me like on the messenger thing, and then I'll put it in for you if you'd like.
Yeah, sure, that'd be great. I'd be happy to chat with anyone who wants to chat.
Yeah, but it is good to do research and just explore and just try things out. And that can be overwhelming too, but it's so important because the more you know, the more you start to learn, the more it'll all start to kind of like come together, I think. And that's really important to just kind of see what kind of information is out there so that we can start to find that balance. We can start to feel what resonates right. It's so important.
Well, it's different for everybody, and it's not size fits all. Everybody has their own thing they need to do, and whatever works for you is what matters. And I encourage everybody to just try different things, and if one thing doesn't work for you, try another. Pivot. Just be willing to attempt something. I think
that's right.
It's amazing how much better we can feel when we start establishing these better habits. And it's so hard too, because we're surrounded by, this is a capitalist society, right? So we're surrounded by information and advertisements, and we don't know who to trust. We don't know what's real and what's not, which is horrible. Like, we don't even know what reality is. And even I think about eating a carrot, like you said, it depends on where you buy it, because you have places like Walmart that forces their fruits and vegetables to ripen with gases. It's not even natural. Right. So you're not getting the nutrition that you might otherwise get if you had grown that carrot yourself or knew somebody who did and bought it.
Yeah, so organic is ideal. Yeah.
Right.
But we don't need to like also go down that rabbit hole. I think sometimes we strive for perfection, and that gets in the way too, and we give up. So it's okay if all we can afford is Walmart and we're just doing what we can. That's okay. But
Yeah.
take supplements. I would highly urge anybody to find what supplements work for you and take that, because it's been a game changer for me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting nutrition where it belongs, and maybe that means working with your doctor too and seeing what your blood levels look like, and seeing what you need. Maybe you're low in something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
always
there,
that too.
yeah, and there is a solution. We had a solution. We ate lots of sugar or something, and like that wasn't working for us. So now there's a new solution, and that's about finding like stacking those little things, and finding the there is a solution for everything. It's just like the willingness
Yeah.
to explore.
Sorry. I find too, now that I have my body in balance with the supplement regimen I am on, that my body knows how to metabolize things better. It knows how to digest things better. So those things that I used to eat and then feel sluggish, or eat and feel bloated and awful, or have sensitivities to, that no longer happens because my body knows what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So actually, that kind of leads me to my next question here. What does it mean to live in partnership with the body and the whole self? So practically, what does that mean? How do I make? It's not just how do I make myself do this, but what kind of life would allow this practice to belong? A flourishing life includes agency, meaningful participation, supportive relationships, purpose, creativity. Creativity is a big one. I'm going to back on that in a second. Rest, growth, and the ability to respond to difficulty without abandoning oneself. So, part of my story too was I've been writing since I was like 5 years old. That's how I process. I write poetry, I write prose, I write essays. I like to research, I like to read. Input is output. So if I'm taking information in, then I'm thinking about it, and then I'm generating new information out. And I've literally done that since I was old enough to read and write, like 5 years old. I spent a lot of time in the woods as a kid on a small farm in New Hampshire, and that's where Martha and I met, actually, the University of New Hampshire. But and Stacy and I went to high school together in New Hampshire. So
I love that.
Yeah. So just like that creativity, I think, and being able to process our thoughts is part of loving yourself too, and really knowing yourself. And that can look like anything. You can paint or dance or sing or write or whatever works for you. Everything is so individual, but experimenting and figuring out what works for you to help process your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings, and getting to know yourself. Like date yourself, take yourself out, do things, and experiment, find out how you get to know yourself, and dig deep. And I think once we get to the root of that and we really know who we are, we feel stronger in our presence and our ability to have agency, to command our lives and to take charge and do what it is that's going to help us, not just be successful. I mean, yes, success is the goal, but to love ourselves, that comes first.
It
No
does.
real success is ever going to happen until you know how to love yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And I feel like I was in survival mode so much for my whole life, and like it's very counterproductive to thriving, which is like the most ideal. And so it's about being your own best friend, really, and honoring yourself and cherishing yourself. And what I was learning as I was in survival mode, trying to be creative, I like kind of I didn't have the oomph for it, or I just didn't feel like it, or I just couldn't get into the zone. And so in learning, that brought me to learning all these, or exploring all these different techniques where, so now I move a little bit and do whatever kind of movements, and then I kind of meditate. So it's like I kind of let my body move, and then I let my brain kind of unravel by meditating. And then I feel like I'm generally pretty open to creativity. I'm in that space. I put myself in that space for creativity. And so then I can journal. I can just kind of doodle and not be worried about the outcome of the doodle, and just kind of the journey is not be worried about the destination, and just like enjoy the process. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, that that's like the journey, I think, for me, how I got there, because getting in survival mode so much, and wanting to create and not really being able to, but having it within me and know it's within me is so frustrating. So kind of using those skills, to help me navigate, so I am capable and be able to be more creative.
Right.
So, yeah.
And again, I think it's related to as Stacey was just saying, in a way, it's like constipation of the soul. It gets stuck inside of us,
right?
And it becomes toxic. So how do we become regular in our ability to express and to know ourselves?
Absolutely.
Yes, and finding that avenue, whatever it is, whether it's writing or yoga or dancing or singing, or for me, which is funny, but it was lifting weights, moving my body. It allows us to open our soul up to this feeling of peace and joy. And I think we have to find joy is somewhere in our lives. What brings us joy? And we need to do a little bit of that every day. Because it really helps our mindset in trying to then do the hard, do the challenge, and make change, because we've got to find joy first.
Yeah. And incorporated in that is like being playful with things, and like just allowing ourselves to be playful, whether it's like, like lifting weights or cooking even, that's creativity.
Yes.
Just like allowing ourselves that space to just be creative with anything and not beating ourselves up about it, and just whatever, like, okay, I'm going to do a weird dance, or, just kind of allowing that. And I'm not being so worried what other people are thinking about. It's so important,
I love that. It is so freeing. I have had to work mentally really hard at letting go of my fear of others' perceptions of me.
Oh my God, yes.
That's a big one.
Is a huge barrier. And half the time, that fear just isn't grounded in any reality. I don't even have data coming in to support my fear of that. But I feel like we're so worried about what others think and feel. And it's so freeing to let go of that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that book called Let Them. I haven't read it, but I know the principle of the book.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Maybe you could speak on it more, because I haven't read it. I've just heard about it. I heard that, the whole principle is that if you think people are thinking certain things about you, let them. And what? Yes. Keep going. Do your thing.
They're not walking in your shoes. So what does it matter? They're not paying your bills. Who's paying your bills, taking care of your babies, and, and walking in your shoes every day? If they are not, then let them do what they're going to do. Let them say what they're going to say. It should not have any control over how you feel and what you do.
And I think for us women, that is so powerful, because we are constrained by so many societal beliefs that we should do this, we should be that, we should look this way. We should be married and have 2.5 children, and we should. And it's something that Brene Brown says, and she says, you need to stop shoulding yourself. Shoulding yourself.
It's so true.
It sounds like something else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I always if I find myself saying should, then I just replace it with could. Oh, I could do that, and so then it puts it into a positive instead of a negative. It's the same with but. I could do that, but. So it's taking the but out and adding in and like, I'll try that or something instead, or, just so like also these words that are so controlling, I guess, or some, or have some connotations, negative to the positive, But with the mindset again, changing our thoughts. Yeah, again just changing our thoughts and being aware, just having the awareness. and being like, oh yeah, I'm thinking that, and being kind to ourselves about it, and then just switching it. Because that was that one quote from Henry Ford. Didn't he say something like, if you think you can or can't, you're right?
Yes.
You know, yeah, it's like, let's just believe
True.
we're doing positive things and go for what we want, and don't
Right.
let anyone get in our way or stop us, and just,
Yeah.
I don't know, just go for
Something
it.
something else I love about the which is something I never thought I'd get out of a supplement company, but I
Mm.
just love their values. One is if you are blessed, be a blessing. And another one really reminded me of what you were just saying about oh my gosh, and it's just flew out of my head. Shoot.
Happens to all of us.
Yeah.
sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay. There's a lot of information spinning around here, so it's all good
No.
things.
There is, yeah. It's such good stuff.
Oh, I was trying to hold on to it, and then I
Yeah,
just
you know,
lost you.
that's okay. I might fly back in. Well, I think we only have like 5 minutes left, though. The hour flies by, doesn't it?
That was
Yeah.
fast.
So I know. Well, we're also passionate about it, and we've all, lived through some things. So we've kind of come to these wisdoms, realizations, and it just feels so important to share. I think we could have a bigger discussion if Substack allowed more than 3 people on at a time. I can imagine a whole group of us getting
Oh my
together.
gosh,
and
I
talking
know.
about
That
this.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's just so many people with different ways of viewing the same problem, and we're all coming to the same realizations, just different ways of approaching it. And blending it all together and opening the door for everyone is kind of where it's at. I have something written down here I wanted to share. Struggles, not proof of personal failure. Difficulty may be information about the habit, the environment, the need being protected, or the support that is missing. And so something that I would like to encourage us to do when a habit breaks down, pause before judging. Name the observable fact, study the conditions, choose one caring next action, and return without turning the lapse into an identity. So I missed a walk is not who you are. You're not bad. You didn't, and we can return. It's okay. Next time, let's do it. And if walking isn't working for us, let's find something that does. So, being able to return to the right mindset to say, I'm good. Everything's okay. Let's create the environment that will support healthy habits and then start creating change. But it does live first in the mind. Our minds control so much of what we do or don't do. So getting our minds to the right place and then learning how to take action to do things. Because, as much as we think about it or care or, any of that, none of it's actually going to become concrete in the real world until we start walking forward. So then we need to, after we think about it, we have to find ways to implement it. We got to give it legs and let it do its thing to create the real change that we want to see.
That's right.
I love that. If there's anything I could add for folks, it would be that they wake up and tell themselves, I'm stronger than I think. And I'm stronger than I think mentally, physically, and emotionally. Because we are all stronger than we think. And we don't get enough opportunity, and sometimes we get too much opportunity for that to actually be tested. But I just want you to wake up and tell yourself, I am stronger than I think, and then do the very next action, like Michelle said. Take the very next step in whatever that looks like, whether it's choosing protein over sugar, whether it's walking instead of sitting down on the couch, whatever it might be, but you are stronger than you think.
That's right. I love that too. And it's always okay to give yourself a self hug. You know what I mean? I think that's like so important too. Because giving someone else a hug releases oxytocin in your body, which is make you feel good. But also, it works if you do give yourself a self hug too. So anyway, You know, just like that kind of like, just like, you're doing okay. We're doing all right. You know, we can just keep
We
like
got
doing the
this.
thing, doing the things, you know?
There's some homework
So,
for everybody.
Right?
Everybody has homework right now. Everybody's
Yes.
watching. Give yourself a hug.
yeah,
And don't be
I'm
cute about
stronger
it.
than I think.
Love yourself.
I can do this. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
think
love that.
sometimes we feel a little bit silly loving ourselves, but you know, if we're not gonna love ourselves, who else is gonna? We got to do it first.
Mhm. That's
Can't pour
right.
from an empty cup, right?
Yes.
Ah,
Fill your own cup first.
that's
Mhm.
right.
You know, there's one thing
Aw.
my kids used to say in school. Their teachers would tell them that to imagine a bucket, and when we're
Yes.
talking to others, are we filling our bucket in their bucket, or are we taking from it? Are we taking from our
Mhm.
bucket? And so being mindful
Mm.
of that and how we relate to ourselves and one another in that way too can be helpful.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Well, I think we are at time, ladies, but this has been wonderful.
Yes.
Gosh,
So
we could go for
good.
another hour easily.
What an honor to share time and space with you, beautiful woman. So I'm so thankful.
You too.
You. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you to Stacey. Thank you to Martha. Thank you for your expertise and your contributions. This has really been wonderful. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you, Stacey.
All
So
right.
nice. Yeah. Wonderful
Right.
chatting with you about wonderful things.
Well, everybody have a great weekend. Goodbye to everybody in our chat. We'll
Yes. Have a
see you
wonderful
next time.
weekend.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks.
Enjoy.
Bye.